Welcome. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger here at dansfish.com. We do this live stream every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 Eastern for those that might be mountain challenged. Thanks for coming on over and spending a little bit of your Wednesday evening with us. We're going to give our shipping report. We're going to talk about a giveaway that we have. We're going to give a fish away tonight. And then we're just going to talk about aquariums and aquarium keeping. So if you like aquarium fish, welcome, you're in the right spot. If you thought this was the Monster Truck, that'd be even weirder, Monster Truck live stream, hate to break it to you, but you clicked the wrong button. All right, with that, let's get to the shipping report. Here it is. It's a good one. Last week, we were at 98.96%. We've gone up a tick. We are now at 98.97% success. So for the last 12 months rolling, 98.97% of the fish we have sent have arrived alive and in good shape to our customers, as reported by our customers. We keep track of this number very carefully. Our entire mission here at Dan's Fish is to humanely source fish, humanely maintain them, get them nice and healthy, and then humanely transport them to our customers. And we do all that in the hopes that when they get to our customers, they'll be healthy, they'll be fat and sassy, and they will thrive for our customers. So our customers actually have success with the fish that we send them. So that's our mission here at Dan's Fish. That's why we do what we do, and that's why we do it in the way that we do it. And that's why we track this number really carefully. We want to know how the fish get to our customers. Are they arriving in good shape? Are they arriving healthy? Are there losses in shipping? You know, what's going on? So we track that very carefully. And every week when we do this live stream, we update the report so you all know how things are going in our effort to do right by the fish, basically. Because we believe that if you do right by the fish, you'll do right by the customer. The customer will end up with a fish that they'll be able to keep for years and enjoy, and not have to buy a bunch of medications for, hopefully. So that's the goal. So yeah, 98.97%, not too bad, especially coming out of all the crazy weather we've had for the past couple months. Even with all that, we're in okay shape. So yeah, good job to the team. Thanks for doing what you do. You guys are awesome, getting good fish to people. And I know that takes a lot of work, and I appreciate that. With that, so last week I didn't stream. I've been ill. I'm about 70% recovered, let's say, about 70% of my normal. I still got like a cough and a tickle, so if I randomly cough tonight, I'm sorry. It's probably going to happen a few times during the stream. I'll try. I'll try not to, but it was either have a stream where I cough sometimes or don't have a stream at all. So yeah, we're going to do it. I wish I had an easy mute button for the mic, so that when I felt, well, maybe I do. Okay, there's a little mute button. So if I can get to the mute button in time, I'll do that before I cough so I don't blow out anybody's earbuds or whatever. Okay, with that, let's talk about the giveaway for tonight. I love this fish. This, I know I say that for every fish, and it's kind of true. I never met a fish I didn't like. But this is a unique one that you don't see all that often. This is the black paradise fish, or black paradise gourami. It's an anabantid. This is Macropodus specti. Macropodus meaning long foot, or long leg. Is podus leg or foot? I think it's foot. But it's in reference to these long ventral fins that they have. These nice, long, extended ventral fins. That's why they're called Macropodus. And then specti is the name of an aquarist that they were named after, or maybe an ichthyologist. These are not like your standard paradise fish. Let me show you the difference. So Macropodus opercularis is the standard paradise fish. That's this one. Also an absolutely beautiful fish, really cool. But there's a couple reasons why I think Macropodus makes a better community fish. The first is these are much more peaceful. So the opercularis, the common paradise fish, has a reputation for being belligerent and aggressive, and that's a well-deserved reputation. If you keep a large group of them, then they tend to just keep among themselves. But if you don't have a large group of them, they can pick on the other fish in the community. And I would call them quite assertive. I wouldn't keep them with delicate, non-assertive feeders or anything like that. I wouldn't keep them with anything with long fins because they can nip. Nice fish and can be kept with other species, but you have to be a little bit more careful about what you house these with, just because they're aggressive little buggers. This one, much more peaceful. It's still a paradise fish, but it's much, much more peaceful. I think this is a much better bet for a community aquarium. And also, with these, you can keep, you know, even if you just have a pair or a trio or something, they're probably going to be fine, especially if there's places of refuge where one can get away if it needs a break. But with this species, with the Apercularis, the common paradise fish, if you only have two, one's going to absolutely dominate the other one and stress it to the point that over time it will waste away and die. Unless you have enough, you know, if you have a lot of places of refuge, maybe not. But in general, the black paradise fish, much more peaceful. And I just like how they look. Like, I love the kind of dragon scaling, webbing, if you will, in the fins. Here's a female, so you can tell the sexual dimorphism, just not as big and not as big of a finnage. Very handsome, very beautiful fish. These grow to about 3 inches. And the other major difference you need to know about this versus Apercularis, the common paradise fish, is the Apercularis, the common paradise fish, comes from cold environments, temperate environments, like South Korea, for example. So they can take cold weather just fine. This is a great patio fish because it can tolerate from early spring through late fall. It can take cold temperatures. So nice fish because of that. These come from central Vietnam, the specti, the black paradise gourami, black paradise fish. So this is not one that you're going to be able to keep in cold temperatures like you will the common paradise fish. So that's something to understand. We often think of paradise fish and we think, oh great, they're temperate, they can take cold temperatures. Well, that's true for the Apercularis and some of the others out of China, but there's a lot of paradise fish in the more tropical parts of Asia, and those you would not want to keep in cold temperatures. They're a hardy fish, but they don't naturally see cold temperatures in the wild, so they're not going to do as well if you keep them too cold. So if this is a fish that you think you could give a good home to, oh, the other care is they're super easy to feed. They'll eat any standard aquarium foods, flakes, pellets, frozen live, whatever. They're not picky at all about their food. And they display constantly. They're a really pretty fish. So if this is one that you think that you could give a good home to, then enter #paradise in the chat and you'll be entered to win. #PARADISE. No spaces, caps don't matter. And that'll enter you into the drawing for these fish. Just like this, #paradise. And yeah. So it says there's 0 entries, which makes me wonder if it's working. Is this not working for some reason? Okay, now they're starting to come in. There they go. Okay, there's just a little bit of lag. Okay, so that giveaway is working. Let's show you, before we get to questions and comments, let's show you some fish that are newly arrived here at Dan's Fish, or newly listed at least. And I want to start with 2 species that I do not yet have pictures of because they're new. One is this one. This is a fish I've been wanting to get in for a long time. It's Hyphessobrychon peugeoti. Peugeot, like the bike or the car company. They are an absolutely beautiful fish. Ever since I saw my first pictures of these, I've been wanting to bring them in. What they are is a very close relative to Hyphessobrychon procyon, the raccoon tetra. Let me show you these. But whereas the raccoon tetra has really nice yellows and oranges like a ray of sunshine, Peugeoti has black and red. It's just an absolutely stunning beautiful fish. Like, look at these things. Just beautiful. Now, the ones we have, they're aquarium bred and raised, which is nice, but they are small, so they don't have color yet. So I want you to be aware of that. If you buy the fish from us, you're not going to have a colored up adult. You're going to have a juvenile that's small and needs to grow up before it shows its color. Now, the good thing about that is that the small size, oh, here we go. Got a cough, just a sec. At that small size, they ship really well. But it's going to be, they need to grow before they develop their color. And they're not a cheap fish. These were very expensive. In fact, I've been able to bring them in for a while, but I've been hesitant because of the cost. I mean, they're really expensive. But enough people kept asking for them that I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it. So we brought in some. We'll see how they do. If they sell, we'll bring in more. If they don't, we'll know that, yeah, they're just too expensive for people at this time. But absolutely stunning tetra on a lot of people's bucket lists, and one that's very difficult to get. And then we also have this amazing hillstream loach, which, how do you say that? Bufordii I know how to say, but Zechuansis? I don't know how to say that. We call them the Szechuan rock hillstream loach, I believe is their common name. But they're similar to the common Buforias that you can get that have all those fine spots all over, but these have more big blotches on them instead of those fine spots. So different species that you just don't see very often. These come out of China. Hard to get fish out of China right now. There's stuff going on, but we were able to get some. And then some other really neat stuff that has come recently. I'm going to scroll down here. Here, I'll transition real quick so I don't hurt anyone's, give you a headache while I scroll here. So here's an example of the butterfly hillstream loach that's very common, or not very common, more common than the Szechuan, I believe, rock hillstream loach. See all those fine dots on them? That's the one, when you see Bufortia, this is the species you usually see. Anyway, nice, really cool hillstream loach in its own right. But these guys are the ones that are absolutely blowing my mind. The Demon Eye hillstream loach. I don't know why they're called that. These are very new to the aquarium hobby. There's a fairly knowledgeable hillstream loach expert that gave us a sheet with pictures of the fish and their identifications and stuff. And this was the common name on that sheet. So that's what we went with. It's very new in the industry, so common names are still a little wishy-washy. But we just went with what the expert said. But this is Euromizon compactus, neat species of hillstream loach, a little higher bodied than your gastromizons, your pseudogastromizons, your other standard hillstream loaches, your Sewellias, but it still has the extended fins to keep them in place in rapid water. And they're absolutely stunning. They have this amazing intricate pattern on the face. They have bold patterns on the body, and then the crown jewel is these bright red spots or diamonds, I don't know what you would call them, bright red colors across the middle of the body. They're a really beautiful, beautiful loach. And this is our first time with them. We've never been able to source these before, so we're very excited about them. Only had them for about a month. We took some extra time with these new hillstream loaches. First time with them, so we wanted to get to know them. These guys have been rock solid. Excuse me. Ooh, having a cold ain't no fun. These guys have been rock solid from the get-go. They're eating dry prepared foods. They're hardy. They're personable. I'll be making a video featuring them soon. I've got nothing bad to say about them, so I'm just super excited to have these guys. Some giant autocinklus, another one you just don't see that often. I took these pictures yesterday or the day before. Not this one, that's an older picture, and that's an older picture of some that came in younger. But that's a picture I took a day or two ago. I just like the close-up of their little face. You can see their little rasping mouth there. So these are the actual fish that we have in stock right now on these. So they're an autocinklus that gets 3-4 inches, which is pretty cool. And they're not truly an autocinklus. They're a different genus, but they're breaking a lot of these catfish up into different genuses. But it looks and acts like a common auto, just a lot bigger. Oh, Fishery says, Michael Lowe told me they are known as demon loach due to a mask worn by the local people that is bright red deity mask or similar color. Hey, you can always count on Alex for good info. Thanks, Alex. Really appreciate you. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Hope you're feeling okay. Excited about these. This is a Phanius mento from Zengen. I know the genus recently changed, and I don't remember what the brand new genus is. But for decades, this was a Phanius mento. That's how I came to know it as a teenager. This is one of the very first killifish I kept and bred successfully in junior high school. I'll never forget them. They're one of my first, and they're super active, super assertive little fish, and absolutely stunning. They turn almost jet black with those bright pygmy sunfish or Astrolabius nigripinus type spots and patterns on them. These were bred by a hobbyist here in the United States. They were bred and raised in Georgia, so they didn't have to go through the stress of import or anything, and they're one of my favorite fish of all time, probably for nostalgic reasons, but also every time I see them, they're just joyous, active, flaring, gorgeous, assertive, little. These don't get real big fish. So that's one we haven't had in a while. Oh, we might need to do, I need to double check the price on that. I'm not sure that one's quite right. I have to double check. Let's see here. You know I like killifish, so let's talk about Aphyosemium striatum, red striped killifish. These pictures don't lie. They're even prettier than this in person. Bright, bright red rows of dots on an iridescent sky blue background with red and yellow bold patterns in the fins on the males. These are one of the prettiest killifish out there. If you missed it, I made a video with these fairly recently, so you can see the fish you're actually getting were in that tank. So you can see what these actually look like, the fancy golden, albino golden sailfin mollies. So pretty. Ranging from like platinum white to yellow, or platinum gold to yellow gold. Just an awesome one. You don't see mollies of this caliber very often. A few more Neolamprologus multifasciatus. These are breeding for us and doing awesome. They've started their own little colony. One of the coolest fish to keep ever. Personality plus behavior that never gets old. They'll keep you entertained forever. So basically what they're doing is they're constantly rearranging the furniture in their aquariums. They live in shells and snail shells in the wild, and they're constantly burying them, repositioning them, jockeying for the most favorable position, and flaring and being active, and just neat fish to watch. And when they breed, what's really cool is the whole colony raises the babies. So the older siblings pitch in to help with the younger siblings. That's unheard of almost in the fish world. Usually the older siblings start eating the younger siblings as soon as there's an opportunity. That's why when, like say, apistos want to spawn again, and there's a group of juveniles or fry in their tank that they've raised to a certain point, and it's time to spawn again, they'll go aggro and murder all their children because they know their children are going to kill the new children they're about to produce. So really rare in the fish world to have that kind of communal family, all hands on deck, raising the next generation. So you get all these little cichlids of all different sizes and different rates of growth in the tank, all working together to grow the colony, and it's just pretty darn cool. Santa Maria Endlers, just an absolutely awesome form of Endler. And I think you're probably acquainted with most of the other fish here, so those are probably the ones that I'll highlight. But some cool stuff at dansfish.com, especially those fancy albino gold sailfin mollies. There's just nothing quite like those. Those are fantastic. They're expensive. I know. So expensive, but they're gorgeous. All right, let's shout out. So those fish are available at dansfish.com if anybody's in a shopping mood. Let's get to folks that have been throwing super chats and such at us and say thank you. Geek Boy, thanks so much. Not only has Geek Boy thrown down a $20 super chat to help send Johnny to the Keystone Clash, but Geek Boy has also gifted 5 Dancefish memberships. Thanks, Geek Boy. That's awesome of you. And anyone that received those memberships, congrats. Welcome to the Fishmonger crew. You are now an honorary Danny-O or Danny-O-Nella. Fishtory, Hyphesobricon Pujodi. Those look insane in person. So lovely, similar to Procyon, named after the Brazilian flag star constellation and the animal raccoon, aka Procyon. Yeah, so the raccoon tetra is a horrible name, I think, because the fish doesn't look anything like a raccoon, right? It's like it doesn't have a mask or anything like that. But the reason it's called raccoon is because Procyon is a star in the sky, the brightest star, I believe, from the southern hemisphere. And so it's part of the flag of the province in which this fish lives. So the star Procyon, big, bright, and beautiful, inspired the people that described this fish, because the fish is also big, bright, and beautiful. So they named it after the star, but Procyon is also the name of the genus raccoon. So because its species name is Procyon, people are like, oh, Procyon, raccoon, and started calling it raccoon tetra, even though what it should be is like bright, shining star tetra. So there's a mix-up, you know, in the language that led us to the name raccoon tetra for a fish that's meant to be named after a star. So it's kind of an interesting just a sec here. Got to get the evil out. Just an interesting way that name came to be. And it's too late now. It's just now it's known as the raccoon tetras. So we're not going back on the name. Jody P, I received my Boufordia and this name, the butterfly hillstream loach. Okay, I'm going to try to Boufordia, I know how to say. The species name, Chuoensis, that's what I'm going with, and Euromizon compactus yesterday. They're so awesome. The Bouforia are already exhibiting spawning behavior. Oh, I'm glad to hear it, Jody. And those demon eye hillstream loaches, the compactus, they took about a week or two before the reds really started coming in. So just give them a little while, and I bet you're going to see that pretty soon. Mr. WWBB, I have been waiting for these. The paradise fish? All right. Well, maybe you'll win. Maybe the universe will smile on you. Surely, the moneyless maven. I got some rosy loaches, my Calitawa and Nothobranchius forshai. Any bus if info? Tips on breeding the Calitawa, Achilles, and any other. I think you're just asking for info. So, rosy loaches are a naturally slender fish. They're prone to parasites, so keep a lot of food in front of them so you can keep them fat and sassy. Main thing, keep them well fed. they're not going to compete well with aggressive fish, so I would keep them with peaceful species. It takes them a while to get a nice full meal, so they need some time with their food to, they're dainty. They eat little bits at a time. So if you have really aggressive feeders in the tank, they can be outcompeted for food. So just whatever you got to do to keep food in front of them, keep them fat and sassy. Kalitawa, super easy to breed. In fact, we've got a tank full of babies here, some of which are going on, I don't know, is that half an inch? Already, quarter of an inch to half an inch. Just throw a mop in the tank, a spawning mop. You'll have eggs. They're easy to raise. I would go to, if I was you, I'd visit Rainbow Fish Live on the Facebooks, and someone there can point you to the studies that have been done. I don't know if they're official studies, but hobbyist studies about temperatures and the right temperature to raise the babies at to get the sex ratio you want. Because it seems like sex ratio might be temperature dependent on the Kalitawa, but they're super easy to breed and raise. We've had no problems. And Nothobranchius forshai, very fast growing. One of the killies that matures and spawns super quickly, because in the wild its habitat dries up, and that happens with all Nothobranchius. But this one, their habitat, the wet season does not last as long as it does for a lot of other Nothobranchius. So these are an extra fast growing, live life, drive fast, die young kind of fish. So I would set them up to spawn right away because they age quickly. And I just put them in a bare tank with a sponge filter. I don't know how many you have, but 5.5 gallons, probably plenty. I'd put a bowl in there with some peat moss and feed them really well on frozen and live foods if you can, just to keep. They're going to produce so many eggs so fast, they're going to need all the energy you can give them to keep up with reproduction as well as growth and health. So I'd feed them a ton, live and frozen food, and collect the eggs. And that's the basics, I think, on those species. If you have anything specific you want to know, let me know. But that's kind of my, when I think of those fish, that's the things that immediately pop to mind. Okay, trying to scroll up here because Kaler's Reptiles and Aquatics has put some pep in our step with a Pippi Longstocking cheerleader super chat. Thank you, Bob. Dan J has joined up. Welcome to the Fishmonger crew, Dan J. Good to have you aboard. Spinster Sister. Holy cow, Spinster throwing down a very generous super chat. That is $50. That's nothing to sneeze at. Thanks, Dan, for all the beautiful fish. Spinster, thanks for purchasing all the beautiful fish. You're a wonderful customer, wonderful member of the community, and we love having you around. Not Stefan, aka Stephen P 2003 Aquatics. Gobies from last giveaway and live bears came in fat and sassy with a will to live as usual. Also, send Johnny to the clash. Thank you, everybody. Thanks so much. I appreciate people joining up and becoming members. I appreciate super chats and super stickers. Always appreciate it. It's never required. I'll interact with you whether you throw money at us or not. That's, if you have a question, don't feel like you have to, donate anything to the cause. But, every little bit does help. And also, sometimes just nice to know that people value what we're doing enough to do that. It just makes us feel good. So thank you. Not required. Not asking for more, just saying thank you. Okay, chat crashed, so I'm bringing it back up, which means that our giveaway crashed, I'm guessing. Yep. Okay, we'll reopen the giveaway later so that we don't have to keep entering every time chat crashes for whatever reason. Okay, scrolling up, and the next one I can see. Hang on, I got a cough. Being sick is no fun. At least the fever is gone. So this was a bad one, guys. This hit Sunday night, and the fever didn't break until Wednesday night. And then there was a couple days where I was just exhausted and felt bad trying to, post. And just basically laying in bed for Sunday night through Wednesday night. Tried to edit a few videos, did a tiny bit of work, but really my brain just wasn't working. Like, trying to think clearly enough to get anything meaningful done was pretty difficult. But anyway, yeah, then, you know, Thursday and Friday still felt like crap, but started working again Friday, and I've worked every day since. But the fever's gone and stuff. I'm still a little drained, and it left me with this annoying cold and kind of tickle in my throat. So I think I said it earlier, but in case I didn't, I think I'm about 70% of my normal jolly self today. Why did they end up categorizing a lot of Corydoras and catfish? Asked Jeffro. Hey, Jeffro, good to see you. So we've known for a long time that the Corydoras were improperly named on a scientific level. We've known for a long time that there's 9 clades, 9 lineages. Clades means something else technically, but 9 lineages of Corys. And over the decades, they've kind of a little bit separated them out. One of the lineages we call Aspidoras. It's one of the 9 Corydoras lineages. One we called Scleromystics, and there's a couple others. But we've always known that those lineages were different genuses. No one has gone in and done the work scientifically to write up all the descriptions and do the peer review thing that you have to do to actually officially change the names. So for decades, us hobbyists were able to blissfully call everything a Cory, except for Aspidoras and Scleromystics, which was great because from the hobbyist level, it's much easier to just learn one genus, Corydoras, and you're pretty much done, right? But now that the work's been done, they've changed it to each lineage has its own genus. Basically, just generically, that's what's more or less going on. And so now there's 9 genuses to learn. Now, we're not doing that at Dance Fish yet because we think that everyone still knows them as Corydoras, whatever the species name is, even if right now technically their genus is different. So we don't want to change everything to the new genuses and then make it difficult for people to search our website or find us on Google or something if they're looking for a specific Corydoras type catfish. But that's what happened. And we will get to the point where we gradually transition on our website. We'll probably, for a while, I don't know, have both up there so that people can still find it if they're using the old name or the new name. You know, we've got some work to do there, but that's what happened. Science caught up with reality. All the fish are beautiful. Those headstanders are scared, but some are standing. Those longfin rosies are beautiful. Oh yeah, I love the longfin rosy loaches. And I'm going to add a few more, says Spinster Sister. I'm glad to hear that they all arrived in good shape. That's awesome. One day, I don't know if I'll ever be speaking at a club near you, Spinster Sister, but your setup is one that I think would be really cool to go by and see, and if you're comfortable with it, even film. I never require that. I don't want people to be uncomfortable. You know, not everyone wants their stuff filmed, but when it's possible, I like to do that because I do have a YouTube channel, obviously. Ahmed Magdi. Why is it so hard to find freshwater pipefish? Oh, I know why. Any idea where to buy them? Such a cool fish. They're awesome. The supply chain does not know how to deal with them. So when you do get them in, almost none survive. And that's why we don't bring them in. Once you get them in, if you can get them in and help them recover from the inadequacies of the supply chain, in my experience, they're super hardy. We had a tank of them here, and they bred for us, and we had a little colony going. They're awesome. So what I plan to do with freshwater pipefish is I want to bring some in, but they're kind of specialized in their feeding and all that, and their transport requirements. So I have a supplier. Hang on, I got a cough, and then I'll tell you the rest. So I have a supplier that I've worked with long enough that that I think I can trust them to handle freshwater pipefish. But they're very specialized, and right now the person that takes care of the fish feeding and all that kind of has their hands full. Once they get to the point where they're comfortable with all the demands and all the different fish and everything that they're already working with, then I think I will probably add some freshwater pipefish. And I'll give specific instructions to that supplier. They've been good to work with in the past with other fish that are delicate. And we'll get a tank set up and bring them in and probably breed them for a while and, you know, sell them. So that's the plan. I have no idea when that'll happen. I'm not in a rush, but it is something that I do want to do. When I finally get to the point where I'm able to make videos of breeding fish, I'm getting closer. That might be one that would be awesome to do a video series on. You need some fisherman's friend cough drops? Yeah, I know. I know them well. When I was a professor, that's what I relied on to help me get through class when I had to lecture, but I had a cough. Yeah. Grow more veggies. Hey, Dan, what do you think? When do you think you'll have green neon tetras in again? Thank you for all you do. I hope real soon. So we have a couple target species we're working on. There's a lot of fish in this industry that are in demand and common, but don't do well for people. And it's because of how the supply chain treats them. So one thing we do is we go in and we fix those. So we've done that with celestial pearl danios. We've done pretty well with like cardinal tetras. We're working on rummy nose tetras and others. So there's some fish that we're like, we know everyone wants these. We know that if they buy them from the odds are that they're not going to be able to get healthy ones. So we're going to take the time and effort to figure out how to get them rock solid fish of these type. The green neon tetra, we're in that process right now. We're trying different suppliers. We're trying different methods of landing them, different kinds of water, looking to see what kind of diseases they come in with and trying different treatments to try to figure them out to the point where we know how to sell you rock solid ones. Now, the ones we sold in the past, I believe, have been rock solid, but we still are working on how to get them in properly, in large numbers, so that we can supply the demand with healthy fish. So we're in that process with that fish now. So that being said, I don't know when we'll have more ready for you, but it's something we're working on really hard. So that's where we're at. Jose Reyes, my Episto male that I received from you unfortunately died last week from what I assume was bloat. I was heavily feeding frozen adult brine shrimp. Should I avoid brine shrimp? No, brine shrimp's fine. Brine shrimp's got a lot of keratin, and that's fiber basically. So no, frozen brine shrimp should not cause bloat in Epistos, at least not in my experience. So I would suspect there was some other issue that caused that. Jose, if you haven't already, would you email us hello@dancefish.com, HELLO@dancefish.com, and let us know about what's going on. Is this something that you got from us and it arrived in bad shape? You got in within a couple days it bloated up and died on you? Or is this one you got from us and you had it for a long time and then, 6 months later it developed this issue? Because we might owe you a refund or something, just depending on what the situation is. So let us take care of you if you need to be taken care of. And I'm sorry to hear that, but I don't think it was brine shrimp. My experience, brine shrimp is one of the best foods for fish. I even occasionally give it to trophius, which are notorious for bloat, because I found that brine shrimp with all that fiber move through their system fine. They don't cause the bloat issue. Now, I don't feed it to them as a sole food, but there's, I know a guy that for years and years he fed mainly frozen brine shrimp to his fish. He had a fish room full of all different kinds, and that was the main thing they got. In fact, I know a few people that have done that. That included apistogrammas of all types, not all types, of several types. So I've seen it done on many occasions with the pistos. Many occasions, at least, I don't know, half a dozen occasions. Alex's Crazy Aquatic Adventures. Have you ever seen Biotocus cichlids available in recent years? Okay, this is, I know this, but it's been forever. So let's look this up, what this fish looks like. It's a genus, I believe. Yeah, oh man, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, look at these little, like, they're like delicate fairies. They remind me of like checkerboard cichlids or tiny acaras in a way, but you know, long, slender, delicate looking fish. I've never seen these available, so I don't know how to direct you on your quest to find those. There is a guy named Ross who, one thing he does is he finds rare fish for people. He tracks them down and finds them for people. So I think he's, how can you find him? I think he's on like Facebook and stuff, is Finder of Fish, maybe. If you can find him on social media or something, he would be worth talking to see about getting something like that. I haven't seen that one available. At least if I have, I don't remember it. Dan J, what's the best treatment for white cotton fungus? I have Pimafix, but heard it doesn't work. Any thought? So Dan J, it totally depends on the cause. Or is it Saprogenella? Is it an actual fungus? Or is it a bacteria that looks like a fungus? So the white cottony stuff can be caused by different things. Actual fungus or molds, gram-positive bacteria, gram-negative bacteria, which need different treatments. So I'm not quite sure. If you think it's actual fungus, then I personally would start with Achex. I found that it's pretty effective. Clean water and Achex and low stress. If that fish is in a tank where other fish are bothering it or stressing it out or something, I would fix that situation. But low stress, clean water, and Achex is where I would start if I thought it was an actual fungus instead of a bacteria. Andrew Tupper, would you mind talking a little about why Get Gills went away? With all the talk this week about eBay not leaving, it surprised me there aren't more third-party hobbyist options. Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about the history of this whole thing and why Get Gills started. So when I first started selling fish online, it was through the American Killifish Association's business newsletter. And I'd list fish I had available that I'd bred because I was a killie freak and sell them there. And then it was also the North American Fish Traders Guild, is that what it was called? That would give like a monthly or bi-monthly newsletter out and everyone could swap fish or sell fish. Then eventually the internet came along and it was Aquabid. And as a hobbyist, when I bred fish or had excess fish, I would sell them on Aquabid. As my business grew, it became very, as the hobby turned into a business and that grew, it became very difficult to properly post fish on Aquabid. Trying to get images loaded and all that. Basically, their code was never updated or not updated much. And it started not working well with the rest of cyberspace. So it became very difficult to, you'd have to host pictures somewhere else and link them in. You'd have to write your own code to get listings to show up well, stuff like that. So I went to Shopify. Excuse me. My brother and current business partner designed Shopify stores. He was one of the early adopters and helped them kind of develop that site with feedback and stuff like that. And so I opened on Shopify, and what I found on Shopify was I was too big to use Aquabid. That was really hard to use. But I was too small to be a meaningful player on Shopify, because when you're on Shopify, you have your own website. You're a standalone website by yourself. And you need a critical mass of offerings to get enough people interested in you to sell your fish. And so if you have hundreds of fish available, you have enough different types that lots of people will find your store. If you only have 20 available or 50 available, which sounds like a lot to a lot of people, but is not if you're a store, then people are not going to find you very easily, because they're searching for a specific fish. And if you don't have that, they're not going to you. And so I wanted to do two things with Get Gills. First is, I wanted a place where hobbyists could easily post their fish for sale, because again, I had found Aquabid just very difficult to use if you're doing any more than a couple listings at a time. And all my life, I've talked to people who want to be hobbyist breeders and breed a lot of fish and have a place to sell them. So I was like, I'll build this to serve them. And at the same time, it'll help me, because instead of having my store on Shopify, I can have it on Get Gills. And I'll be there with all these other sellers, and all together, even though we're all small, together we'll have a critical mass that draws enough people in. Well, together we'll have enough offerings to get a decent amount of traffic and interest in the site. So that's why I built that. Within a year, I don't know the time frame exactly, but within a while, Dan's Fish had outgrown the need to be on a community store. And so we wanted to differentiate. So we created dansfish.com. And we kept Get Gills going as a service to the hobby. There's kind of no money to be made on a website like that. We all saw, Vivi give it a go. We've seen other things give it a go. And so this is something that you really have to do for the love of it. I don't think you're gonna make much of a living doing something like this, which is probably why Aquabid hasn't invested in a lot of updates over the years. I don't know the entire story behind Vivi, but they were driving hard trying to build this community selling website, but it was a business. I'm pretty darn sure they needed to make a profit on that. And so we left Get Gills going as a service to the hobby. But we found not that many hobbyist breeders used it. There's a few that did, but not a ton. And ultimately what happened is, as we focused on Dan's Fish and started building more and more functionality and needed to build more reporting and back-end functionality, keep track of our inventory and the health of the fish and all the things you have to do with inventory, it's hard enough with like hardware. Trying to do with living organisms. Inventory with with tanks full of fish, difficult challenge, needs real custom software. And as we were doing that, we were like building up Dan's Fish, and got to the point where it was a different enough website. It was completely different from Get Gills. And since there weren't a lot of people using Get Gills, and the servers where we host Get Gills were needing a complete overhaul of the code, because the servers had updated all their requirements. And so we looked at Get Gills and we're like, well, it's been used this much and it's going to take this much effort to overhaul it and make it match, make it stable on the servers, meet the servers' new demands. That's going to take a whole bunch of coding and a whole bunch of time, and there just aren't that many people using it. So because of that, we were like, that's a lot of work to serve this small amount of people who are using this site. So we just weren't willing to do it. It's just, it's weeks and weeks of work. So that's ultimately what happened was we didn't want to become Aquabid and just let the site kind of go to pot and have it bad, not keep it up and have it gradually degenerate. We want it to be quality. But in order to keep it quality, we'd have to put a lot of effort and resources into it. And it didn't seem like there was enough use to justify that. So that's the real story and the straight word on what happened there. Hopefully I was okay saying all that. I don't think I said anything that would get me in trouble, but I mean, that's what happened. So yeah, I and then right after that, eBay was like, yeah, no more selling fish, and I was like, oh geez, maybe we shouldn't close this, but eBay opened back up. So, but I honestly think the reason why more third-party hobbyist options are not available is there's no off-the-shelf code you can use that works really well for selling live fish. It takes a lot of custom code, which is a lot of time, and coding is not cheap. And I mean, there's very few people that are just gonna be like, yeah, I'll do that for free as a hobbyist, just for funsies. And then keeping that up and stuff takes effort. So I don't think there's many people that are gonna be willing to do that just for funsies. And I don't think there might be a way to make decent money out of a site like that. That wasn't really our goal, so we didn't focus on that. But based on the track record of folks that have tried to be profitable doing that, it seems like it would be quite challenging. So. Fish Hunter, you should come to the ACA and AKA convention in June here in San Antonio. Oh, I'd love to. I would love to. Don't know if I'll be able to. But that is something I would like to do for sure. I went to the ACA last year and it was awesome. Got to speak there, was one of the presenters. It was a great experience. But having me there 2 years in a row probably is not in the cards. If they invite me, I'll go. But you know, they got to keep it. They got to mix it up. I'm super excited that you're coming to our Haas meeting in June. Can't wait, says CR Fish, Cheryl Smith. Yeah, I can't wait either. Yeah, I'm super excited to get out this year and meet folks, talk at your clubs, share what experience I can with you. But mostly what I'm excited about is getting to know you guys, seeing your fish rooms, maybe going collecting some native fish in your areas, and hanging out with fish nerds. That's what I like to do. You better not get Johnny sick. I'm well past the contagious period, I think. No, I think it's just the slow recovery. I wouldn't be here if I thought I was contagious. Do you know when you'll have threadfin rainbows in stock? Same thing as the green neon tetras, but not as far along, not as high a priority right now. So that's one that I want to solve, but I can only focus on solving a few species at a time. In order to solve a species, we have to go through the whole thing, top to bottom, from which suppliers and how to work with the suppliers to get them sent to us, often in a custom way. And then it takes a lot of time from our in-house laboratory to do all the exams, figure out the right medications and dosages for that species and treatment protocols and all that. And so we have to find a supplier that we can get them routinely healthy from. Then we have to figure out how to make them bulletproof for the customers, and then how to transport them to you successfully. It's a lot of work, and there's a lot going on to keep the fish healthy, and so adding more to that, we can only do a little bit at a time. I have to select a few species. As we figure one of those out, then we can bring a new one on. Andrew Tupper, I bought you out of Tucano Tetras a few weeks ago when you first listed them. It was my first order with you and it went really well. Everyone is happy and healthy. Thank you. Andrew, I'm so glad you got those. The Tucano Tetra is one I've been wanting to bring in for a long time. I've been hesitant due to the cost. I think there's a limited market just because they're still quite pricey. But they're worth it, man. Such a neat little fish. I'm glad to hear they went well, especially, knowing how much they cost. I'm glad to hear they're doing well. That's awesome news. Thanks for purchasing those. Thanks for giving you know, thanks for taking a gamble on us. We appreciate it. Okay, scrolling up here. There we go. Okay, TJ. Just want to thank Jonathan for helping me out with the site last night. I was having problems creating an account, getting ready to make my first order soon. Jonathan's the best. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome on behalf of Jonathan. Yeah, he's the best. Annie H. My L174 ocelot plecos from you are chunky and magnificent. As they keep growing, do you think they would like ditherfish or be happiest in a species-only tank? I don't think they care about ditherfish. I really don't. I think they're just, is there food? Okay, we'll come out. Is there not food? Okay, we'll stay where we are until it's dark. I don't know for sure, but mine have been pretty comfortable without ditherfish. So I have no idea if they would benefit from it or not. I haven't seen the need to try it. Now, I have kept them with other fish that acted as ditherfish, and they were fine. And I've kept them in a species-only tank as well, and they were fine. So not quite sure it matters. Don't know that it doesn't, but just haven't seen a case where it did. Ann H., if you can breed those, I would so love to purchase those stateside. I would absolutely love that. I'm glad you have them. I'm glad they're doing well for you. Please breed them. Fishy Jake TV just accepted a job at a zebrafish research facility for Nationwide Children's Hospital. Well, that's pretty cool. Been reading a lot about zebrafish lately because we're trying to find the best way to treat pseudocapillaria. And there's been some interesting studies done with different medications for that specific pathogen on zebrafish. It's a big problem in zebrafish research facilities, so they've been working hard to try to figure it out. And we're benefiting from that research here. So, yeah. Man, I hope you have I hope it's super rewarding. I hope you make an awesome breakthrough and save a lot of children's lives. Brett Baker, thanks for improving our hobby. Hey, it's my pleasure. Like, I love it. There's nothing that beats coming to a job where you're focused on a mission that means a lot to you. Right? Like, anyone that doesn't have that in your life, like, do whatever you need to do to get that in your life. Like, you're spending 40 plus hours a week somewhere, usually your prime waking hours. Man, I'm so lucky that I get to do it somewhere where I feel fulfilled. I'm doing something I absolutely love, and I feel like I'm actually making a difference. Now, I wish I was making a difference faster. There's certain pathogens that, man, we've been trying to figure out for a year and still haven't figured out. It's just like, why don't we know this yet? This should be simple. Like, in the literature, it's simple, but in practice, it don't work. Like, there's stuff like that. There's certain species where it's like, man, we still don't know. We still haven't figured these out yet. How in the world don't, like, how? Like, it's 2 steps forward, 1 step back for sure, but we know what the mission is. It motivates everyone that works here. And I can't think of a better way to spend my prime, most productive hours of my life than doing something I feel fulfilled at. So it's absolutely my pleasure. Like, it's an awesome way to make a living. So you're more than welcome. And thanks to everyone that supports the mission. It makes it possible. I'm spoiled for like ever clocking into a job that I just do for money anymore. I couldn't go back to that after experiencing what it feels like to actually do something that you feel meaningful and fulfilled by. Yeah, no. So my wish for every one of you is that at some point in your life, you find what that is, and find a way to make a living doing something that motivates you that way. I just cannot tell you how awesome a life that makes. Cool videos from a cool guy. My friend gave me 3 baby lyre-tail gold dust mollies and 2 baby black mollies, and they are all doing well. Well, that's awesome, cool videos. That's great. Little baby fishies. Do you like Pillsbury 'em? Kurt Bruttine. Will we be restocking hovering zebra loaches in the near future? I think so. I think so. Like, I usually don't like to talk about fish before they're actually ready for sale, because if there's a problem, I disappoint a lot of people, but we're working on getting some and getting them ready for customers as we speak. So we'll need a little time, but we are working on that. Like, there's just nothing, like, I don't want to like be like, sure, I've got some in that tank right there and they should be ready for sale in another week when they get through quarantine. And then between now and then have some horrible disease come through and be like, actually, I can't sell them to you after all. Like, that's so disappointing. So I try not to give exact timelines or say exactly where we are in the process of trying to source them versus we have them and they're in quarantine right now or whatever. But I'm working on those pretty hard. Tengri, would Venezuelan orange cories get along with pygmy cories? Yeah. And would they uproot crypts? No. Kind of thinking of getting some to add to my tank. No, cories I don't think dig deep enough to be a big problem for crypts. And crypts have such a big root system. So I'm assuming you're going to have a deep enough substrate that the crypt has the ability to put down a nice big root system, in which case I think you're going to be just fine. Cories will kind of bury down to their eyes pretty much. They don't usually go much further than that. Unless they really did latch onto a blackworm. Then they're going. They're not letting that go. Andrew Tupper, thanks for such a thoughtful and detailed answer to my question and for your service to the hobby. Again, my absolute pleasure. Wait a moment. People are doing things. And I haven't shouted them out. Mr. WWBB has been a member for 3 months. Johnny's the best. Can't wait for my next order to come. Yeah, Johnny's awesome. Like, customer service. Let's put it this way. Not everyone's as nice to people as they should be. Not everyone's as pleasant as they should be. Some people, usually people that don't know us and have probably been, you know, screwed over before by internet companies, like, they come in guns blazing. They're just like, da, 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 and we're like, whoa, all you had to do was tell us there was a problem. We'll take care of you. You know, it's like, whoa, buddy. So, Johnny's awesome. He cares a lot about the customers. He cares a lot about the fish, but he's able to, put up with the negative parts that are reality of being the interface with customers sometimes. So I really appreciate him. K. Henry, my Manakapoo angels from you laid eggs. They hatched a week ago and I moved them to a 5-gallon. Is it normal for them to either be grouped on the bottom or right at the surface? Yeah. Yeah, they'll group up, especially when they're young, when they're itty bitties. Oh, that's awesome, K. Henry. Man, I'd love to buy babies from you. If you get them up to, I don't know, nickel quarter size or more. If you have a bunch and you're trying to get rid of them, I would love to source those stateside. That would be fantastic. Instead of having to bring them in from Europe. I mean, the European breeders do an excellent job, but it's a lot more stressful on the fish to have to go through all that international transport and all the checkpoints and all that stuff than it is for me to buy them from you here in the United States and just be like, yeah, put them in the box tonight and I'll see them in the morning. You know, that's a lot less stressful on the fish. And it's more cost efficient too. There's not all the fees and different things associated with importing, which makes fish so expensive. Have you ever done the Peru trip to collect fish? I have not, Denise. I have not. I still have to collect. There's so many fish stateside I still want to collect before I feel the need to venture out into parts unknown. But I'd love to. I'd have a blast there. That would be fun. I'm fluent in Spanish, so that would be fun. So get to talk Spanish with folks and collect fish. That sounds like a good time. Now, I don't know fish Spanish, though. I know Argentine Spanish pretty well. So if I went to Peru, I'd be a little rusty It'd take me a little while, but I think I could hold my own within a few days. Merb 34th, sorry. No, 34th Street. I think that's what it is. I need a ditherfish for a 29-gallon with 5 crabinsis. Can't be Congo tetras. Use those in a different tank. With crabinsis. Well, I don't know. Do you want to stay with Africa? Could you do something like a yellowtail Congo tetra? Totally different species. I think, is it a different genus as well? I can't remember. So maybe a yellowtail Congo tetra would be something to do if you want to keep it with Africa, with African fish. Keep to the theme. But if not, man, there's so many options. Like so many. I mean, pick a tetra. Not a nippy one, not a super aggressive one. Maybe not like a Serpe tetra, although that would probably be fine too. But like almost any tetra, I think would be great. Almost any small, peaceful fish. Guppies would probably work. Like, I think there's so many options. Small, peaceful, and of appropriate size, I think, are the criteria there. So Merb, it says there's so many options. Could you narrow it down to like, I don't know, are there 5 species you're thinking of, and I could get into the pros and cons of each? I don't know where to start. There's so many. Kaler's Reptiles and Aquatics. Joining back up. Hey, Bob, welcome. Okay, scrolling down here to Mad Aquatics. Appreciate the effort. Thanks for answering my question. Hope you feel better, bud. That's the thing. Actually, yeah, I don't know. I feel like this cough is just going to linger on for a couple weeks. Do you think Gastromyzon lepidogaster would like ditherfish? Yeah, I do. I think they naturally occur with some rasibores and gara. Well, maybe. I mean, they come from such fast-flowing sections of the stream that I doubt they're sharing water with them most of the time. So they might be in the same body of water, but they're going to be in a different niche. Look at these things. Like we had them in once before, maybe twice before. They're an iridescent, beautiful color. They come in reds, greens, yellows. Like, look at this. Like, see that, like, iridescent? Oh, here's one. Look at that. Absolutely stunning for a hill stream loach. Just a banger of a fish. Like, awesome fish. But so in nature, they're going to inhabit parts that flow so quickly. It's probably going to be hard for, you know, rasibores and stuff to keep up with them. Gara maybe, but the gara I think would be in a different niche probably. That being said, stuff that swims above them can't hurt. I wouldn't use gara because I think they would compete. They kind of have the same niche. In the aquarium, okay, in the wild, they eat similar things, but I think occupy a different section of the stream. But in the aquarium, they're going to compete for the same area. So, but yeah, rasibores would be great. Some larger rasibores, maybe clown rasibores, calicoma. But the Gastromyzon aren't going to hurt small things either. You could do some small stuff. So I don't think it would hurt. It might help bring them out a bit. The thing I found helps the most, though, with hill streams is more of the same species of hill stream. Then they get the kind of competitive behavior. They start displaying and stuff. And once that happens, they kind of lose their shyness. Jeff Pelham Aquatics. When buying fish from hobbyists, is there a minimum amount of fish you accept? No, it depends on the fish. If you had Corydoras CW111s, like I could buy 5 and that would be fine because they're an expensive fish. So what it is I have to be able to have a certain amount of dollars worth of fish in each aquarium I have the fish in. So the fish pays its rent, basically, is how I think of it. So if you breed 5 zebra danios, that's not going to work. But if you breed 5, you know, I don't know, CW111s, Vulcan Cories, that'll work. That's enough value in dollars that I can, you know, justify the tank space for that. So, but typically, I buy fish in, 100 to 200, lots of 100 to 200. If they're normal, not expensive types of fish. Recently, I just bought over 1,000 celestial pearl danios from a hobbyist breeder. And man, if anyone out there has 1,000, I could use another 1,000. Like, that's a fish that I'm dying to get more from hobbyists. So it just, it just depends on the value of the fish from a dollar standpoint. Fluffy Cow Aquatics giveaway time, at least hashtag time, in a bit. You are amazing, says Kelly Foreman. Right back at you, sister. Right back at you and Jake. Appreciate you both very, very much. I explained your operation to the curator at the aquarium I work at. They will be considering you for a new exhibit coming in the near future. Oh, thanks, Scotty. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Yeah, we've been selling to public aquariums and zoos recently, which has been, excuse me, which is a market I wasn't going for. I wasn't even really considering at all. Man, they have a crazy vetting process, but we got through it. Any idea when you will have more Bloody Mary Hillstream loaches? I think pretty soon. Yeah, I would expect within a week or so. Although, again, I hate to say exactly because then I hate to disappoint. But I have a group we're working on right now. So as long as they get through quarantine in good shape and no problems develop that take more time to treat, I think within a week, maybe two. Of course, as soon as I say that, they'll develop a problem. Like, I don't know. Any idea when you'll have pea puffers? That's another one of those species we're working on. It's too inconsistent right now whether they okay, so what I'm trying to get is to where I can bring puffers in and within 2 weeks to a month have them healthy enough and ready to sell to customers. Sometimes right now it takes us months to get pea puffers healthy enough for the customers, and that's really rough on the finances of the business. So that's one of our target species. We've built a special section of aquariums just for experiments to figure fish like that out. We've got a few tanks of them over there, and we're working on it. So hopefully soon. But man, figuring some of these things out is not easy. It takes time and effort and focus and expertise, and we don't always have the expertise. Sometimes we have to go track it down, or, well, it's not out there. I guess we have to become the expertise, and it takes a lot of work. We have to teach the animals to read the books. Heck yeah, where the wild things are. Speaking of baby fish, my baby Corydoras are growing so fast, much faster than the baby plecas. Oh, I'm glad to hear that you've got baby Corys that are doing good for you. That's awesome. That's awesome. Nothing makes me happier than a bunch of baby fish. Okay, so let's do it. Let's go ahead and do this giveaway. So since chat crashed twice while I've been streaming tonight, let's go ahead and restart this giveaway, because when the chat crashes, it screws up the giveaway. So hashtag Paradise, hashtag Paradise, no spaces, caps don't matter. If you enter that in, you'll be entered to win some amazing black Paradise fish, a peaceful, really beautiful, I think, good-looking Paradise fish. But it's tropical. It needs tropical temperatures, so keep that in mind if you get them. It's not like the common Paradise fish that you can keep cold. You cannot keep these guys real cold. Kayla's Reptiles and Aquatics, another super chat. Love you right back, Bob. Thanks for the super chat so much. Okay. So while folks are entering that, looks like folks are actively doing that right now. We'll do another question or comment over here. Let's see here. Wendy, hello Wendy. I had my Japan blue, it's not blue green, is it? No, blue gold colony in with the SAEs I got from Dan's Fish. They're 5 inches now. Oh geez. The SAEs were brave until I took the guppies out. The SATs are a little jumpy now. Now I understand dithers. Yeah. And it's because they're used to seeing. So if the guppies were never put in there, then the SAEs would probably have gotten, with time, gotten used to the tank and not had a problem. But since they had dithers, and now the dithers suddenly disappeared, they're like, what happened? What ate all the dithers? Is it going to eat me too? And they get real shy real quick. Yeah. So it might be something that in another couple weeks, the SAEs are back to normal. But right now, they're just wondering what happened to our friends. Or it could be that certain fish have wild behavior where they use other fish as indicators of safety, right? They're always looking around at the other fish, be like, oh, they're out? Okay, must be fine. And so there are fish that kind of rely on dithers for a sense of well-being. Otherwise, they think it's not safe. So some fish have really developed a focused behavior like that. Okay, passing wind. Have you figured out a way to start a breeding colony of Johnnies? I wish I could use a whole bunch more Johnnies in my life. The 4 Pro Gourami I got from you are doing amazing. I'm so relieved that they're virus-free. Yeah, I'm thrilled. That's another species that we had to crack. And it took over 2 years to figure that one out. Like, why are the fish at Dan's Fish so expensive? That's why. Like, the amount of R&D, I guess, that goes into figuring out how to get certain species like that one they've got a problem. We all know what the problem is. Okay, how do we figure that out? So I'm glad they're doing well for you. I can't wait till people start breeding those and I can source them from the States. And that's when I think that makes sense. They have large batches of fry. They're in demand. And where else are you going to find virus-free strains, right? Gills to Gardens. What's the email to contact y'all about fish we have for sale? We talked briefly last week about Ameca splendens that I have, but may have got the wrong email. Thanks. It's hello@dansfish.com. HELLO@dansfish.com. John says, glad to hear you want Manicapuru. Plan on breeding them and the albino tapajos. In love with both. Oh, those albino tapajos are so great. If you guys have never seen the albino tapajos geophagus, the albino redhead tapajos geophagus, which is now Geophagus pyrocephalus, if I remember right, finally got a scientific name. Check out the video I made on the all albino aquarium a couple weeks ago, and you'll just check those out. They're awesome. Would love to help get the price down so more people can enjoy them. Yeah, John, I'm in. I'd love to buy from you. Find a price that the market can sustain long term and get them out to people. Sounds amazing to me. Okay, let's see. There's 173 folks that have entered to win this fish. And so we're going to do this before the chat crashes again. So the winner is Tanya H. Tanya H., congratulations. You have won. You have 2 minutes to chime in and claim your winnings. If you don't claim them within 2 minutes, then you forfeit your winnings and we will draw somebody else. And the way you chime in is you just leave a comment in chat. So say something in chat and you will have claimed your winnings. Julian's Fish Shed. I'm Argentinian. Curious why you know Argentine Spanish well in particular. I did my graduate studies in Argentine stuff. Argentine theater, to be specific. So I studied Osvaldo Dragoon. I studied several playwrights. And so I spent a lot of time reading Spanish, spent a lot of time in Argentina as well. And yeah, that's how. So que tal, Che? Looking forward to getting the Vietnamese white clouds tomorrow. Yeah, I think you're gonna love them. They're super cool. I mean, I like all the white clouds, but you know, if you've seen the standard white cloud before and you've kept that, then it's time for a change, right? Can black paradise fish live with angels peacefully? Asked Fish Hunter. I think so, but I've never tried it, so I can't tell you for sure. But just knowing the temperament I think they would get along fine, but not quite sure though. All right, Tanya chimed in within 31 seconds, so definitely under the deadline of 2 minutes. Tanya, congratulations. Would you send us an email with your first name, your last name, and your shipping address to hello@dansfish.com? That's HELLO@dansfish.com, and we'll make arrangements to send Black Paradise fish to you. Congratulations there, I think. Felicitaciones. And thanks for participating. Speaking of that, thanks everyone for participating. I'm going to sign off. My voice has had enough. I want to thank the moderators for being here and moderating. I want to thank everyone that's a member of the channel and anyone that might have given memberships away. I'm looking at you, Charles. Thanks, Geek Boy. Did anyone else do it? And everyone else that gave away. Jody P, Denise. Did I miss these earlier? I think I might have missed these earlier. I did. I'm sorry. Wow, how did I miss those? And if I missed anyone else, thanks so much for giving away memberships. That's an awesome way to support the channel. We really appreciate that. If you threw money at us, thanks for the super chats. Always appreciated. Never required, but thank you. And if you were active in participating in the chat, thanks for participating. If you were not, we still love you. Hail the Lurker Nation. If you're watching the replay, hello from the past. And if you're listening to the podcast, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, everybody, I really hope you have a good one, and I'll see you. Bye-bye.